very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Ashinsani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. Coronavirus patients in the country surpasses 20. Health official stresses the importance of avoiding outdoor shopping as much as possible. Sajid, Anura and Sumandiran mull over the postponement of the general election. News in detail. Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe urges the society to seek services from the state hospitals only in dealing with COVID-19, concerning it as a national requirement. Meanwhile, Dr. Anil Jasinghe urged the society to refrain from engaging in out-of-the shopping as far as possible as a measure to contain the novel coronavirus. Addressing the daily media briefing, which brings updates on COVID-19, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe today evening stated that the total COVID-19 inflicted patients in Sri Lanka has surpassed 20, reporting 4 new cases as of today evening. Thus, 4 more persons, including a 13-year-old girl, 2 males and a 73-year-old patient at the Karapiti Hospital have been diagnosed positive for COVID-19 until today evening. Meanwhile, it is noted that another 212 individuals suspected to have had contact with COVID-19 infection are under observation in hospitals. Dr. Anil Jasinghe, responding to queries of journalists, explained why it is advisable to seek state hospitals services in dealing with novel coronavirus.
Is there still a loophole that private hospitals can carry out such tests?
That is not the way the private sector is being operated. So that is why we advise for anybody to make use of state health services in a situation like this. Yeah. Well, I have informed them, the major hospitals, and then also some of them found to be using unauthorized, unregistered test kits. So the NMRA, National Medicinal Regulatory Authority, went in and sealed some of the test kits, so that I know. So the thing is, well, there may be a situation where we need their services, but then we have to accredit these, labs for this particular test. And also, when they do without a sort of a regular system, and when the positive patients are not getting into the safety net, then the problem arises. I know we have our limitations, but still we advise them. I have asked them to not to do so, and also we will see to that these test kits, unauthorized test kits, are not.
I want to get at. It's not either a directive from you as Director General or the government. It's still at request stage. Is there anything stronger than a request, given that this one patient that has slipped through the net was found positive already and went through the private system rather than the government system?
That is actually, we can seize the test kits. So that is the other thing what we can do, and we have done that.
Does that mean that the private hospital tests are substandard than MRI tests?
No. Well, the thing is, MRI worked out this test with the Hong Kong Professor Malik Piris. That is how we got the test at very initial stages, right? Then we replicated in our government setup in other hospitals. The issue is, in private sector, there may be various test kits, right? So we don't know about exactly what is going on, and whether their results are really,
Anyway, you are fully confident on MRI tests?
Definitely.
Subsequently, Sri Lanka police added that 2 individuals who have spread false information on coronavirus via social media have been arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department. Deputy Inspector General of Police Ajit Rohan has said that these suspects are identified as residents of Bandaragama and Ragama, and a court against them are already filed. Moreover, he emphasized that legal measures will be taken against the COVID-19 contracted patients who had resisted to go to the government medical facilities and had instead consulted personal doctors or private hospitals, making the entire quarantine process ineffective. Former opposition leader Sajith Premadasa finds faults in the decision of dissolving the parliament by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa while knowing the spread of coronavirus in the globe. He also added that the present government is more interested in receiving a two-thirds majority in the elections than the lives of country's citizens. Former opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, addressing a media briefing this morning, said that the government should have presented a new budget and keep their promises, but they didn't do it. He also added that instead of doing so, they introduced some illegal tax reductions. He said that the government would say that there is a legal issue and therefore it cannot continue the promised tax reductions. Parliamentarian Premadasa also criticized the government for the efforts of justifying the MCC agreement just to receive the financial donation mentioned in that agreement. He also blamed the government for its efforts to have the parliamentary elections as it was scheduled. He was bringing examples from England and Georgia and said that a number of countries have already postponed their elections and questioned the government why they wanted to go ahead with the elections at this time. Meanwhile, JVP leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake, addressing a media briefing, said that they have completed the nomination papers to contest the elections for all 22 districts as the National People's Power. However, he announced that considering the situation created in the country due to the spread of coronavirus, the NPP will cancel all its public gatherings and other meetings. At the same time, JVP leader stressed that the Election Commission has a huge role to play as the present situation has blocked the publicity campaigns by small parties which do not have wealth, power or the ownership of media outlets. He also added that the party will soon meet the officials of the Election Commission to discuss over the matter. He also said that the Election Commission has the sole authority to make a decision about holding the elections after completion of the nominations procedure. Meanwhile, former Minister Patli Champika Ranawaka also held a press briefing and said that like the previous government neglected the April 21st attack, the present government has also neglected the COVID-19 when the necessary warnings have been issued. He also added that the COVID-19 is something beyond politics and taking all the possible efforts to prevent the disease should be the number one priority. He also added that the Election Commission has a responsibility to announce its decision whether to go ahead with the elections. Former Minister Ranawaka also blamed the government for raising funds for the government via the Consolidated Fund. He said that circular by Finance Ministry Secretary S.R. Artigala to have 122.4 trillion rupees for 16 ministries is illegal and the Constitution does not allow such a mechanism. He clarified that the third article of the clause 150 allows the President to use the money from the Consolidated Fund only from the date new Parliament is summoned to meet. The Tamil National Alliance also issued a letter signed by former MP M.A. Sumandiran and said that they are concerned about the threat posed to the people by the possible spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country, and they request the postponement of the general elections, allowing the government to take all efforts to combat COVID-19. Speaking to leaders of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation via a video conference, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday reiterated the need to frame a collective response to combat novel coronavirus, asking the SAARC ministerial meeting to come up with solutions to overcome the pandemic. Accordingly, leaders of the SAARC countries shared the current status of COVID-19 and preventive measures taken to combat it. Meanwhile, Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohamed Soli highlighted that 35% of country's tourism sector has been battered by the novel coronavirus and urged the dire requirement to forge a long-term economic relief package to reboot the economy of the SAARC countries. On the other hand, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed a COVID-19 emergency fund for SAARC countries and told the other SAARC leaders that the contribution to the emergency fund will be made on voluntary basis. He also offered $10 million to kickstart the fund. Subsequently, Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also made key recommendations to address the issue prudently. He also stressed that the scheduled general elections will be taking place as usual and that stern actions will be taken to avoid large rallies and election campaigns as much as possible.
We all know there's a shortage of testing kits and other equipment not only within this region, all over the world. So thank you for offering these assistance to all the regional countries. And also, it is very important for us to work together, not only combating COVID-19 virus, but also be prepared for similar situations in future. We have to understand that it's very important that the social awareness is very important in these type of situations. Sometimes we have to take steps that sometimes the people can misunderstand these steps. Therefore, I think it is very important to all the time educate the citizen of the steps that we have to take for to prevent this type of situation. At the same time, it is important to control rumors and also that will lead to panic.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. National Sexually Transmitted Diseases and AIDS Control affiliated to Health Ministry of Sri Lanka states that 3,600 AIDS cases were reported last year, recording new 439 cases. National Sexually Transmitted Diseases and AIDS Control stresses that the number of males who are subjected to AIDS has doubled over the last 5 years. National Sexually Transmitted Diseases and AIDS Control has embarked on a journey towards ending AIDS in Sri Lanka by 2025. And in this regard, 10 new clinics geared to eradicate sexually transmitted diseases being established. Accordingly, 7 clinics out of these 10 clinics are already established, and an event marking the launching of these clinics were held in Colombo last Friday. Sharing the findings of AIDS epidemic at the event, consultant venereologist Dr. K.A.M. Aryaratna noted that nearly 2 million persons globally are inflicted from AIDS. Dr. K.A.M. Aryaratna noted that about 3,600 AIDS cases were reported in Sri Lanka last year, and out of those patients, only 64% knew that they were inflicted by AIDS. Moreover, it is noted that highest number of cases are reported from the Western Province, accounting to 108 patients from Colombo district and 89 patients from Gampaha district. National Sexually Transmitted Diseases and AIDS Control further highlighted that number of males who are inflicted by AIDS has risen over the last 5 years. Meanwhile, it is also reported that the highest number of cases were reported in the years 2001, 2002 and 2003, and there is a stark decrease in numbers over the years. Speaking at the same event, Deputy Director General of Medical Services Dr. Amal Harsha De Silva briefed the media on the launching of its new clinics and on the future activities that are rolled out in the journey of ending AIDS in Sri Lanka by 2025.
Now, when it comes to planning is all about looking at the future. How the future should be different from today, what changes can be brought about, and how these changes can be brought about at the grassroots levels. And this is exactly a great planning exercise with absolute beneficial fruits which we see. Therefore, I would like to congratulate you all with your untiring efforts. You have been able to open 7 clinics now and another 3 clinics in time to come. Then the other most important thing that the ministry is looking at is the amount of quality, the degree of goodness of the service that we deliver. The technical quality as well as the functional quality. Technical quality is adhering to the protocols and procedures that you know of. The other most important thing is the functional quality. The functional quality is how you greet the patient, how you keep the clinic so clean, how it's more receptive, with the privacy is there. All those things are the functional quality. Therefore, I think the government is little lagging behind on that, but I think you have ensured that to some degree, but I think we have to work towards giving more and more functional quality in these clinics.
The government allows the Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Limited to go ahead with the halted project of extension of the Bandaranaike International Airport Terminal 2. The Memorandum of Understanding over the project was signed between Sri Lanka and Japan last Thursday. Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Limited Chairman Major General G.A. Chandrasiri said that AASL marked another significant milestone with the signing of a contract for the second passenger terminal at the country's main international gateway at the BIA last week. Work on the project, comprising a new multi-level terminal building, Pier Number 2 and Pier Number 3 with a link concourse, a new parking apron and taxiways, elevated access roads, multi-story car park and public utilities will be undertaken by the Taisei Corporation of Japan. The new state-of-the-art passenger terminal will have the capacity to handle 9 million passengers. Work on the project would commence in 3 months and would be ready by 2023. The cost of the project, comprising construction cost of Package A and Package B, contingencies and consultancy services funded by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, is $550 million. The proposed terminal at the BIA will create a world-class image and standards of excellence for international airport architecture. The design of the terminal building reflects rich culture and heritage of Sri Lanka, which would create a memorable experience for visitors to the airport. The Green Initiative would be one of the key components of the new terminal. When flying into the BIA, the first glimpse of the airport would be a green roof. New baggage terminals will be introduced and a host of duty shops too would be opened, making BIA on par with other major airports such as Dubai and Singapore. And that's all the news for today, and log into our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest news and updates. With that, we will be signing out for today and see you tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.